Tottenham probably, but is there a similarity there where Spurs can expect to be in a good position in a similar way a couple of years? To a certain, I mean, the theory, yes. The reality, you also got to look at it. There's a relevance to expenditure there as well. Sort of, they've got some serious talent there. But whether they all kind of fulfil their potential is the unknown with all young players. So I think it's why most clubs don't go all young, because they kind of feel like you need some experience or some guiding through that process of players developing. But so it kind of, I think in theory it's probably the way to go, I believe, when you're building a side, but it's not always, unless you have a sheer volume of numbers, which, to be fair, Chelsea do. So if you do, if two or three don't kind of make it through, you've got enough there. I don't think we're in the same boat in terms of numbers. So with us, it would mean that all the ones we've signed are all going to end up fulfilling their potential, and that's the bit of the unknown. I don't think, I think we're probably a little bit different, even though the sort of underlying premise of sort of building from youth is there. I think they're a little bit different in the way they've gone about it. From young players to an older player, Son's been the talisman for so long for Spurs, but he's 32, turning 33. He's got 3 Premier League goals this season. I know he missed a few chances recently, so he could have more than that. But should our expectations of what he can achieve now, given his age, change?
Yeah. I mean, I think there were questions about Mo maybe a year or so ago as well. I'd be wary about doing that. Go for it. Might help me if you write him off. Look, I don't get that sense. I still feel like he's, from a physical output and kind of the quality he has, and certainly from a mentality point of view, I haven't seen. And what I do know is, just through my experience, the end comes pretty quickly. Like it's not falling off a cliff, but you find with a lot of great players that all of a sudden it's gone from bang to bang. It's not a kind of slow deterioration. So I don't see that in Sonny. I still think Sonny's got a hell of a lot of quality, and from a physical standpoint, the way he looks after himself, I don't see his abilities diminishing just due to the age factor at the moment. I don't see that. Again, you kind of weigh up the output of it, and he's not at the level so far this year that he has been in previous years, but that's a pretty high standard he's had in the past. Can he get there this year? I still think he can, yeah. And I think a lot of that's just, consistent game time. Because again, he's had a bit of a disruptive sort of start this year where, he's had a couple of setbacks where he hasn't played regularly. And I think with Sonny, what you find is the more regularly he plays, the more kind of the increase in that output. So the answer is no, I don't think so. And I'd be wary about writing him off if I was. We certainly haven't if you were external, but like I said, go for it.
And just finally, you took Bournemouth's great pressing striker off them in the summer, Thomas Langley, but they replaced him with a player who seems to have a similar kind of energy, done well. And the last game against Wolves, I think he had 3 penalties.
Yeah.
Just specifically for Fraser going into this game, how wary do you have to be about Evan Nilsson's ability to close that?
Yeah, no, look, he's. But I think that's the beauty of having an identity, right? So we talk a lot about clubs having an identity and a philosophy, and people kind of scoff at it. And but it does help you when you're trying to identify players. Like, so I think they knew exactly what they were looking for when they lost Dom, and it makes it easier. So you look at Evan Nilsson and you look at his profile, and he's obviously somebody that's well known. So you kind of know when you're playing Bournemouth now that, irrespective of who they sign, they're going to have those attributes. They're going to press from the front. They're going to be aggressive, and so, you know, irrespective. I mean, it's not about Fraser. It's about, like I said, when you're playing a team like Bournemouth now, you're kind of okay. You know what you're going to get. You know, irrespective. If Evan Nilsson was injured and they played with, I don't know, with Clivert or whoever else up front, that would be the instruction. So you've got to be wary of it. So it comes down to providing information for the team as to you know, what to expect, and you know, we definitely expect they're going to be aggressive. You know, Evan Nilsson sort of leads that at the front, and that's the team they are.
Do you wish you'd set off the season with a bigger squad? I mean, you can't legislate for injuries, but it almost feels like you can these days with the schedule.
It just depends. I mean, a bigger squad with just numbers, no. You know, that's what it comes down to for me. It's about a bigger squad of players who are going to be able to contribute is more important to me. And I don't think, you know, we had the capacity to do that. Like I said, we're you know what, we're 3 transfer windows into rebuilding a team, you know, rebuilding a squad, rebuilding a playing style. So I think we'll get to that point, and that's what we need to keep sort of reinforcing, where we have a squad and a group of players who can compete, you know, in the elite European competitions and domestically. And look, some of it this year's been unfortunate. I mean, you know, it's not just injuries, like the soft tissue injuries, obviously we've had, you know, we've got 3 at the moment, but the others like, you know, Vic and Romero and illnesses and suspensions, and, you know, you just can't legislate for. You just don't, you know, like I said, they always happen, but you kind of hope that they're spread out a bit more than what they have been for us. But there's no doubt we've still got work to do with the squad and the team, which I don't think would be surprising to anyone.
How many would you like in January? Is it possible to give us a clue?
No, because January is a bit, again, it's a bit tricky. And like I said, a lot of that will depend on sort of, I know, you know, it's only 3 weeks away, but there's a lot that's going to happen in these 3 weeks around sort of, you know, who we get back in that time, where we sit from a sort of health point of view of the squad in at the beginning of January. So, and you know, like I said, January is a tricky one. You don't really see, you know, I wouldn't expect us to do too many significant things in January. But if, you know, if we're kind of, say in January 1 we're exactly the same position we are now with 9 players out, I reckon we'd be doing something.
John? You said that Dom is still not quite 100%. I imagine tomorrow, you know, I'm sure he wants to play every single game, but I imagine tomorrow he's desperate to start and play a really full part, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm hoping that extra percentage comes from just him getting back. And look, he, like I said, he wanted to play on the weekend too, but he couldn't get out of his car, let alone run around a pitch. So, yeah, look, hopefully, like I said, he'll get through training today, and again, we've got another 24 hours or more to game time, and yeah, I'm sure I know how, you know, how closely connected he feels with Bournemouth, because it was kind of his way back, you know, into having the career that he wanted. You know, he got it. You know, it was through Bournemouth that he got to move here. He got back in the England squad because, you know, all these kind of things. And as I said, his journey of, you know, starting at some big clubs and not quite working out. You know, it was Bournemouth the ones who invested in him and worked with him. And so I'm sure, you know, he spent a lot of time there. He's keen to get back there, and, you know, I'm sure he wants to do well. Not because he wants to hurt them, but because he wants to sort of show them that, you know, everything they've invested in him, you know, he's appreciated.
Can I just say back to Sonny, it often wears his heart on his sleeve in the games, and you can see exactly what he feels, which I don't know whether it drives you mad on occasion. But, you know, what's he like in training? Because he just has this incredible energy and desire.
He's no different. That's the thing with Sonny. Like, what you see is pretty much what you get on a daily basis. He's a very You know, he's a very sort of optimistic and kind of, you know, very energetic, enthusiastic kind of personality. You know, you know when he's down because it stands out like a sore thumb, but that rarely happens. He kind of looks to tackles things on, you know, pretty determinedly and optimistically. So, and that's just who he is. And I think I don't have an issue with that. I think, you know, yeah, sometimes as a manager you get annoyed when you know players are just putting that on for a crowd, for a reaction, when you know it's not really them. Like that annoys me more than somebody just being themselves. And Sonny, like I said, is, you know, what you see is what you get. He's exactly the same person on a daily basis.
Just finally, the table, have you ever seen anything like it?
Yeah.
Is it I mean, it's remarkable going into December that everyone's grouped up apart from
Yeah.
It's either an opportunity, isn't it, or kind of...
Yeah, that's, mate, that's Australian sport, mate, you know, with salary caps, and that's what you get, you know, you kind of even spread. So it's unusual, yeah, probably for the Premier League, where you've really only got one team that's kind of separated from the rest. I think it makes it exciting because I think every game's got something on it. You know, it's either euphoria or doom and gloom, and kind of nowhere in between. But I get a sense that that's how the season's going to go. You know, I mean, obviously, like I said, Liverpool's a bit of an outlier, but you know, all the other clubs seem to have hit patches where they've got issues, and you know, like you wouldn't think that sort of a team like Villa would go through 6 or 7 games without a win. And you know, it's because of the consistency of their performances. Obviously, Man City now, what they're going through, but you know, most clubs are hitting some really significant rough patches, and so you kind of think, well, you know, it may sort of break open, but I wouldn't sense that probably till into the new year. If it does happen, I think for the next sort of couple of months, I think it's going to be pretty tight.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.